Well, hello, and welcome back to another scary, creepy edition of Ghost Stories Told from the South. I am your host, Stephen LeBooth, and I got some skelly stuff for you today, boys and girls. Well, just want to say hello to everybody out there. This is Ghost Stories Told from the South, and I am your host with the most, the storyteller, Stephen LeBooth. Thank you so much for being here, guys. And the numbers are getting bigger and growing. And I just want to say thank you, man. You guys are awesome. The numbers on YouTube are growing. I've got 6 new episodes downloaded. I got 3 more to go to catch up. So go check the YouTube page out. My numbers are going great there. Go check me out on TikTok too, guys. I go on there and do some lives. I talk about borderline Texas trash and ghost stories told from the South. So it's all good in the hood, man. My numbers are great because of you guys. So I want to say thank you very, very much. Thank you. Sorry I haven't been on in a while. I've been busy as crap. All of a sudden stuff is just hitting me left and right of being busy. But I'm back for sure. I keep saying that, but I am. I've kind of neglected y'all, and I'm sorry. Because I got a bunch of faithful listeners out there, and I want to say thank you very much from around the world, man. Over there in Europe, I'm really booming over there, like Romania, Germany, France, Sweden, the Netherlands. I mean, all that over there. So thank you very, very much, guys. Don't forget to check out the Facebook page, Ghost Stories Told from the South, too. All right. I guess we'll get on with our first story. Now, this one's going to take me just a little bit. It's a shorty, but it's kind of small print. Anyways, like I said, I'm still doing campfire stories, urban legends. So a lot of these are like urban legends, kind of just tales. Don't know if they're really true or not. But anyways, are y'all ready for the first story? Well, you know the routine. Get you a nice warm blanket. Snuggle up to the fire. Get you some nice hot cocoa or some hot tea. And sit back and relax and get ready to be scared. All right, all right, everybody. Here is our first one. The first one is The Wolf Girl of Devil's River. They say if you go to that barn at They say if you go to that barn at night, you can see all the ghosts of the farmer hanging from the rafters, his body swinging back and forth, and in the wind dwelling on his terrible crime for all eternity. No one was ever really sure when the 7th barn was located, or where the 7th barn was located. Oh, there we go. Although it was definitely in Ohio, some said it was the Grand's farm in Cuyahoga Valley, and others said it was often top of the world in North Appleton. And in 1997, a local teacher claimed that after a lot of research, he had finally managed to track down the real location of the infamous 7th barn. He said that none of the barns had ever actually been torn down. That had just been divided up and sold off, and the barns had simply been incorrupted into neighborhood farms. According to the teacher, he was able to pinpoint the current location because of all of the barns in the neighborhood properties had nameplates above their doors with the name of the children engraved on them. Huh. The teacher and his son set out at night to visit the barn, bringing a video camera with them in hopes of capturing some paranormal activity. The next morning, the teacher's wife reported her husband and son missing. Police found the abandoned car by the roadside. While searching the area, they entered a barn in a nearby field. Not found. They entered a barn in a nearby field and found the dead bodies of the teacher and his son hanging from the rafters. The seventh barn is a scary urban legend about a haunted barn in Ohio that is believed to have been the scene of a gruesome murder of the entire family. There was a wealthy farmer who owned a lot of land in Ohio. He built a new barn on his property every time his wife had a baby. He named the barns after each of his children, and by this time the story takes place, they had 6 kids and were expecting number 7. However, the farmer's wife died in childbirth, and so did her unborn baby. The farmer went insane with grief and could not tend to his farm. The family had no money, and the farm started going under. They said that one night, in the depths of his madness and despair, the farmer took an axe and led his children out to the barns, where he murdered them. One by one, he buried each of their bodies in the 6 barns that had been named after them. Then the farmer went to the 7th barn, where he hung himself. As the story goes, all of the barns were eventually torn down, and the land was sold off. All except the 7th barn. Nobody wanted to buy the land because of what happened there. So it was abandoned and soon fell into disrepair. Well, if you're from that area, let me know about the 7th barn, if you guys have ever been there or done anything. That one seems pretty cool, too. I like urban legends like that. Okay. Let's get ready for the next one. Sorry about that. I got my notes mixed up. But our next story is the Wolf Girl of Devil's River. Yes, Devil's River. Man, this one's going to be a long one. In 1835, a group of American colonists led by Dr. Charles Bailey, were camped at Lake Episantosa, a renowned haunted location near what is now Carrizo Springs in southwest Texas, a half a mile away from the Bailey Group. John Dent and his pregnant wife, Molly Partool Dent, both from Georgia, had built a brush cabin. Dent had become Dent had become to trap beaver in the Devil's River area, north of present-day Del Rio, but was also on the run from the law for a murder of a fellow trapper in Georgia. The Dents were to prove fortunate in their choice of site, distant from the lake. A band of Comanches raided the main Bailey camp and massacred most of the inhabitants, afterwards throwing the bodies of the victims in their carts into the lake. All right. Even at this time, Espantosa Lake had acquired a reputation for ghostly happenings. These incidents added to the store of ill luck and sorrow, centering on what to this day the Mexican conquistadors, a haunted location, the name Espantosa, meaning frightful. As Molly was approaching the end of her pregnancy, the couple were reluctant to travel despite the dangers of hostile Indians. One night in May 1835, there was a severe thunderstorm and Molly went into labor. She appeared to be having problems with the birth, so Dent decided to ride westward for help. He arrived at a Mexican goat ranch on the Pecos Canyon and told them desperately about his wife's condition, begging for someone to ride back with him. But as the Mexicans prepared their horses to leave, there was a furious crash of thunder and a bolt of lightning that struck Dent from his horse, killing him instantly. After a considerable delay, the goat herders mounted up and followed Dent's directions. However, darkness fell before they had got over the divide to Devil's River, thus delaying the search. Finally, at sunrise the next morning, they located the Dent's isolated cabin. But what they found outside the cabin, in an open brush arbor, was Molly Dent laying dead alone. She had apparently died at childbirth, but there was no trace of the baby anywhere. And I think we've read this story last week. I'm not for sure. I think we have. The baby was never found, but fang marks on the woman's body and numerous wolf tracks over the area made the goat herders naturally assume that the infant had either been devoured or carried off by the wolves. I think I have read this, but I'm going to keep on because I just started the damn thing, but I think I've done it before. The first sightings of the Wolf Girl. But this was just the beginning of the story. 10 years later, in 1845, a boy living in San Felipe Springs, Del Rio, reportedly saw a creature with long hair covering its features. They looked like a naked girl attacking a herd of goats in the company of a pack of Lobo wolves. The story was told by many, but still managed to spread back among the settlements. Around a year after the incident, a Mexican woman at San Felipe claimed she had seen two large wolves and an unclothed young girl devouring a freshly killed goat. She approached closely to the group, she said, before they saw her and ran off. Usually it is very dangerous for humans to eat raw meat. Since the wolf girl never had the chance to or other meats, her body must have just gotten used to it. The woman noticed that the girl ran on all fours, but then rose up and ran on 2 feet, keeping close to the wolves. The woman was no doubt about what she had seen. In the scattering of people in the Devil's River County or country began to keep a sharp watch for the girl. There were similar reports by others in regions during the following years, and Apache stories told of children's footsteps, sometimes accompanied by many handprints, having been found among wolf tracks in sandy places along the river. A hunt was organized to capture the Lobo girl, or wolf girl, as she had now become known. Mainly Mexican folklore, people thought. On the third day of the hunt, the naked girl was sighted near Espendosa Lake running with a pack of wolves. The cowboys managed to separate the girl from the wolf companies and got her cornered in a canyon, where she fought like a wildcat, clawing, biting, and frantically to keep her freedom. They finally managed to get her calmed down and keep her still. But while they were trying tying her up, she began to make frightening, unearthly sounds. Some were between a scream of a woman and a howl of a wolf. As she howled, the monster he-wolf from whom she'd became separate apparent and rushed at her captors. Fortunately, one of the cowboys reacted quickly and shot it dead with a pistol, at which the wolf girl fell into a faint. Securely bound, the men were now able to examine the girl and noted that despite a body covered in hair and her wild actions, her appearance was human. Her hands and arms were well muscled, but not out of proportion, and she lacked the ability to speak, only making deep growling noises. She moved smoothly on all fours, but was rather awkward when made to stand up straight. The girl was put on a horse and taken to the nearest ranch, an isolated two-room shack aimed at the desert's wilderness. She was put on one of the rooms and unbound, the cowboys offering her covering her body and found food and water. But she refused, cowering in the darkness of the corners. Then they left her alone for the night, locking the door and posting a guard outside. The only other opening in the room was a small boarded-up window. Ghostly cries. But as night fell, the cowboys heard terrifying howls coming from the wolf girl's room. These strange cries carried through his still night air, unsettling her captors and soon finding answers from among the wolf pack in the wilderness. Beyond the shack, soon there were long, deep howls coming from all sides as the pack drew closer to the house, and occasionally a strange howling screams from the girl answering from inside her dark room. Suddenly, the large pack of wolves charged into the corrals, attacking the goats, cows, horses, and bringing the cowboys outside, shooting and yelling to drive them away. In all the confusion, the wolf girl managed to tear the plaques from the window and escape into the night. The house soon were abandoned, and traces of the girl could not be found. Though there were few unverified reports in the following years of a young girl covered in hair being seen with a wolf pack in the area. No one ever came in close contact with her. Meanwhile, gold increased significantly. In 1852, a surveying party for a frontier man searching for a new route to El Paso were riding down the Del Rio Grande at the Rio Grande, and at a bend far above the mouth of Devil's River, they were almost at the water's edge when they saw at close range, sitting on a sandbar, a young woman sickling two wolf cubs. Suddenly she saw them, quickly grabbed the pups, and dashed into the brakes at such a rate that it was impossible for the horsemen to follow. The girl would have been like 17 years old. After that, she disappeared into the wilderness forever. It is impossible now to know what became of Molly Dent's daughter. We will never know, but her story stays alive in this little tale. All right. Well, that was The Wolf Girl of Devil's River. Sorry, I think I did do that one already. I think I did do it last week. So I'm sorry for repeating myself. All right, guys, let's get on with our next one. All right, our next one is the Creak. Not the Creek, the Creak. Crack, something snapping or being trampled on. The man sits in his room, reading. The room is silent, except for the quiet fire burning. Crack, or crick. Just the house settling, nothing more. Crack, perhaps some small animals outdoors. Whoosh. Was that the wind? The man stands up and peeks out the window. A clear night is all he sees. The full moon brightened in the sky. Laughing at his nervousness, he returns to his book. Creak. The man now slightly chuckles at the sound. Crack. How could he have been scared of some sounds? Whoosh. Must be breezy out tonight. Thump. Did that come from within the house? The man stares into the fire, trying to calm his jiggled nerves. Creak. Crack. Whoosh. Well, the sounds never cease. Thump, thump, thump. Closer. He thinks the sounds are getting closer. He shuts the book and closes his eyes and thinks of something besides his world, or thinks of something besides his wild imagination. Creak, thump, crack, thump, whoosh. Thump, thump, thump. A pause. The man moves quietly, slowly, towards the door with a nervous gat. Thump. A step back. Thump. Yes, it's getting closer. Thump. He stares at the door, trying to somehow see through it. Thump. He reaches slowly for the doorknob and shaking, no longer able to take not knowing. Creak. A loose floorboard near the door outside. Thump. He slowly opens the door. A scream. And then silence. And that's the end of that one. I think that one was more like a little poem. All right. Let's get ready for our next little story. The next one's not a poem, though. All right, our next story is The Deerwoman. The Deerwoman stories are found in multiple American Indian cultures, often told to young children or by young adults in the communities of the Indians. And those are only the ones that have document. It's talking about all the tribes. Here are all the tribes that this folklore is in. So if I'm messing these up, I'm sorry. The Osita, the Shakawan, the Ojibwe, Pocona, Omaha, the Cherokee, the Muskogee, the Seminoles, the Choctaw, the Otai, the Osage, the Ponies, and the Haudenosaunee. I probably fucked that up, and I'm sorry. Anyways, these are the only ones that have documented tales of the Deerwoman sightings. The Deerwoman is one of the little people, though they can be they can be sometimes violent towards humans. Their role in the indigenous culture is to uphold traditional society by keeping human I can't fucking talk. Keeping humans in line by discouraging harmful actions that have the potential to destroy the community. The legend of the Deerwoman, in particular, pushes them away from actions like infidelity and stuff like that. The little people also hold otherworldly knowledge that they can pass on to humans, which is then transmitted through the generations. However, its power must be obtained, respected, and maintained in traditional healthy ways. Okay, here's the Lakota tribe, and I guess how they talk about it. Among the Lakota people, Deerwoman is called Anokat. The daughter of the first man and first woman was a beautiful young woman named Ati, which means face. Her name was Ati Tate, which means face wind. Oh, no. Okay, her name was Ati, which means face. She fell in love, I guess, with someone named Tate, which means wind. He fell in love with her. They married and had quadruplets who were the four winds. Tate wished to become a god and unleash the aid of Inkatomi, the trickster spider who caused the sun to fall in love with Iti. At a celebration, Iti sat in the place of the moon, the sun's wife. To punish her disrespect, the sky cast iti down from heaven to the earth. Half of her face became ugly, and her name became Anuakite, which means double-faced woman. The Anuakite appears to men in dreams or visions, either as a single deer or two deer women. A white-tailed deer and black-tailed deer, her two different sides symbolizing appreciate. The two different sides symbolize and appreciate and inappreciate sexual relations. Men that have sex with her and believed to go insane, while women that dream of her while or will have strong powers and sexual attractions or can gain artistic powers too. All right, that one was kind of interesting, but not all that interesting, so I'm sorry about that one, guys. All right, let me get a drink and we'll start our next one. All right, our next one is the Hawaiian Night Marchers. In Hawaii mythology, night marchers are spirit ranks, are the deadly ghosts of ancient tribal Hawaiian warriors. The night marchers are the vanguard for the scared king chief or chiefs. One of the nights honoring the Hawaiian gods, Kane, Kulanua, are on the nights of Kanalua. They are said to come forth from their burial sites or to rise up from the ocean and to march in a large group to ancient Hawaiian battle sites or other scared places. The legend says that the night marchers are normal-sized warriors, dressed for battle, carrying spears, clubs, and some are beating war drums and blowing tunes. Blowing tunes from conch shells to announce the advancing of their march. According to the myth, they are suspended in air. Their feet do not touch water or ground as they are traversers through the night, and they leave no evidence of their they leave no evidence of them being there. They march in the darkness after sunset and march as a group until just before sunrise. Everyone living along their path may hear chanting, sounds of blown chong shells, sounds of blown chong shell tunes, and marching noises in the night. The following signs are foul and musky, death-like odors, and torches getting brighter and brighter as the night marchers get closer. The night marchers might appear during the day. They are to escort, or during the day, if they are to escort a dying relative to the spirit world. Ancient Hawaiian beliefs state that any mortal looking upon or being seen in defiance towards the marchers will die violently. Burials placed in the path burials placed in the path of the night marchers will not deter them. Some people maintain that if the mortal lies motionless, face down on the ground, they are showing proper respect, fear, and deference to the night marchers, and they will be spared. They will be spared. So, see these night marchers coming, just get face down and don't move. Just don't get face down, ass up. That would be a bad thing. Additional mortals can avoid harm or death from night marchers by being fortunate to have an incident ancestor marchers present to recognize to them. As they encounter the mortal, they will call out, "Nayu," which means mine in Hawaii. No one in the warrior's possession will harm them. Legend says that planting living shrubs around one's home is said to keep away all the evil spirits and will cause the Hakakua Pua to avoid the area. The night marchers are said to walk through houses with doors and back doors placed in a straight line. The ceremony and conduct of the march are customized to the taste of its honored warrior leaders. A Hawaiian king or chief is known to be fond of music, would be honored with much drumming and chanting. If the king or chief enjoyed peace and quiet, the march would be as silent as possible. Further, if the king and chief did not like walking around much, he would be carried in a sling by warriors. In ancient Hawaiian lore, the laws declared body parts of king or chief to be scared and not to be seen by mortal. The punishment for looking at these parts is always instant death, usually by bolts of instant light and flaming heat originating from several of the warrior's eyes, aimed towards the mortal. The violating mortal is instantly the violent mortal is instantly singed or is instantly burned, and the body remains dissipate as vapors. If a king's or chief's face was not supposed to be observed, the king or chief would lead the night marchers from the front. Oh, okay, so if he didn't want his face being seen, he would assemble the night marchers from the front. If his back was not to be looked upon, he would be in the back of the assembled group. However, for some chiefs, not part of them was forbidden to look at by mortals. The chiefs would march among their warriors in the group. So, if you ever know more about this night marchers, let me know. That's a Hawaiian myth, or myth, legend, whatever you want to call it. But I bet you it's pretty cool. I think I'm going to do one. Yeah, I'm going to do one more. And then I'll save the rest for the next episode. All right, this one is called The Red Spot. The Red Spot is a short, scary story about a young girl who wakes up on a morning with a strange blemish on her face. It is based on urban legend called the spider bite, or the spiders in the cheek. A version of that story appeared in Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark by Alvin Schwartz. One night, a young girl was sleeping in her bed when a spider crawled across her face. It stopped for a few minutes on her left cheek. Then it went on its way. When she woke up the next morning and looked in the mirror, she noticed a red spot on her cheek. "What is this?" she asked her mother. "It looks like a spider bite," her mother replied. "It will go away. Just don't scratch at it." Soon the small red spot grew into a big red spot. And then, before the end of the day, the big red spot popped, and baby spiders crawled out of her cheek everywhere. Y'all might remember that story, though, on that scary movie that came out about 5 years ago, I think, or 6. Dark Tales from the Dark, or whatever it's called. That was a pretty good show. Yeah, y'all remember that one scene with the red dot? They thought it was a pimple, and it turned out to be a bunch of fucking spider babies. Yeah, just coming out of her cheek. So think about that next time you got a little something on your old cheek, man. But I want to thank you guys for coming in and doing this. And thank you. And I'm back doing this again. I've just been real busy, but I'm back. Go check out the YouTube page. And if y'all guys got any stories, get a hold of me and tell me about them, guys. But until next time, be scary, and we will see you later. Bye.